Okay, day 6. Hit my arms every damn day. And the juicified meter is through the roof. What's going on? How the heck is that working? It's not how it's supposed to go according to the rules. I'm going to get into it, share my experience, give you some insights that I think are going to help you to make some more gains. But first, before we do anything, man, I'm going to have a shot of whiskey because that's a great way to start your damn day. Tap into the Earth's core. Extract the package, the goods. Nothing too crazy. Just a little tiddly taster. Woo! Feels good, though. I just think this globe that my girlfriend got me is really cool, and you can put liquor in it and open it up, and I just want to do that in every video. And I don't want to fake it, so I'm going to take a real shot. So this is what's happening. Anyways, arm day every day, 6 days in a row. It wasn't really a plan. It kind of just happened. I did my regular arm day, and then the next day I pumped up to do a fucking photo shoot or whatever for content. And then I was like, 2 days in a row. Let's just keep her going. And then I blew out my left foot. It's almost better now, so I haven't been able to hit legs. So I've just been like, let's just keep training arms. And a couple things to note are that I'm training to failure pretty much every set, but I'm not pushing heavy weight every workout. I'm doing a heavy day, and then I've been doing 2 days that are with lighter weight, like this workout was, where I focus more on the pump, the reps are higher. And I find that's kind of allowed me to still be able to recover. And the other thing is I'm not doing like insane volume necessarily. So scaling a few of these things back, each session I don't feel as drained. Whereas my arm day before, where over the past year, I'd rest 1 or 2 days in between each session. I'd come in and I'd annihilate myself. Heavy, high intensity, good amount of volume, drop sets, and I'd walk out of there, stumble out of there, barely coherent. Because I know I've got, a day or 2 days of recovery, so I better leave it all on the table. And how I'm going to make progress is to absolutely butcher myself in here. These sessions are not quite like that. The volume's back a little bit. I'm not going super heavy every time. It's feeling great. I hit the session and I don't feel absolutely drained like I did previously. So I think that's an important thing to note because training every single day, recovery is a thing, and how much you tax your overall body or your central nervous system is a reality and is something that does need to be considered. And the other point I would make is that your body can potentially respond or recover to things that aren't necessarily specified in the rule book of bodybuilding. And nowadays, with all the science and all the people out here talking about optimal training, this, that, and the other thing, I've noticed a lot of people are really afraid to break rules as if there's some extremely specific prescription. Now, I will start by saying that if you're a beginner, you should follow these specific prescriptions and adhere to the rules. And it's because it's going to benefit you. If you're just getting into training, the general recommendation of, rest 2, 3, 4 days in between hitting muscles, push some of your sets to failure, maybe not all of them. Do, 10 to 20 working sets for a muscle in a week is the volume recommendation, I think. You should follow all this shit because it's going to work because you're new, as long as you go consistently. But what I've noticed is after many years of following those rules, it was either take some freaking gear or start trying different shit. And I don't want to take stuff. I don't want to take gear, man. I don't want to jack up my hormones. So I was like, I guess my other option, if I still want to make gains, is to start experimenting. And I think that if you've built up the base, that breaking out of those rules and trying stuff is going to benefit you. As long as you do it smart, listen to your body, don't just do something stupid and not pay attention, warm up properly, pay attention to how your body responds, but don't be afraid to try stuff. And in my case, I hit an arm day heavy, 6 rounds, 6 working sets, 2 failure of each muscle. And then the next day I go in there and I do a similar amount of volume, lighter weight, 2 failure, pump it up, push myself to the max, and I'm growing. I'm seeing more progress. So riddle me that. If the rules are so correct and the science is so perfect that, I don't know, I think most people that prescribe to this stuff would say what I'm doing is wrong, but I'm getting better results. So who's right? And I'm not anti-science. I just think that it's only useful for what they've studied. And there's a limited amount. It's not law. And there's a limited amount of factors that you can control. If you look closely at any of these studies and like really read it and digest it and think about it and understand it, you'll see that they have to control for a number of variables that limit the findings because you have to narrow your scope. I don't have any significant education in the exercise science world. I worked as a personal trainer, but I'm mostly just self-educated, not by an institution. But I do have a master's degree in economics. And something that I realized from being in higher education or postgraduate school is that any kind of research, and the research I did, you got to narrow your scope to something really specific, and it dilutes the strength of your findings because you have to just look really narrowly because it's just not possible to consider all the variables. And you see that in any of these exercise science studies. And then they get presented as if it's a law because one study found that this is probably the right amount of volume. But they controlled for so many different things. What were the participants' experience level? What was their body mass to start? What was their diet like? What types of exercises they do? How hard do they train? They got to make decisions about all these things. And then their finding is dependent on those decisions. And if you change those decisions, it impacts the finding. And I know there's a big body of research, and over time, we can start to pull general things out of it. But my point is that I think for you as the lifter, it's going to be way more beneficial to, in the beginning, prescribe to this stuff and like follow it like the rule book should. And then don't be afraid to deviate out of it because as you get more advanced, the science is less applicable. And if you're really trying to get your arms huge or your legs or something, or just gain a ridiculous amount of muscle, you're probably gonna have to do some wild ass shit that ain't necessarily being studied. Like, what are the effects of training your arms every day under this exact structure that I'm doing? There's not a study on it. So how can you say that that's good or bad? And people will come out as the authority, as the know-all on this discipline and this arena of muscle gain and tell you whether it's right or wrong. At the end of the day, man, your body is going to give you the most important feedback. And so the point I want to make is that if you're smart about it, but you're willing to break some rules, I think there's additional progress and additional gains and additional perspective shifts that you can see. And I've experienced it myself, where once I did this a couple of years ago, I tried training arms every day, but not under this type of training structure. So I would say it wasn't quite as effective. But it still showed me that like it can be beneficial and like what are the fucking rules really, and then take some ownership of your training and don't be afraid to try some. It makes it more fun to be like, hey man, I think this might work. I'm going to be smart. I'm going to ease into it, but I'm going to just try doing a whole bunch more sets than I normally do, or I'm going to go to failure all the time, or I'm going to train more often. And your body's going to tell you whether that's effective or not. Not necessarily some freaking person who's saying they're the smartest and they know every goddamn thing about science and life. And I'll give you one little hack. I know I'm really rambling here. I think that's really valuable before I let you go on your way is that people, when somebody is a disseminator of knowledge and they're in a position of authority, ask yourself, when you listen to them, when you look at them speaking on whatever subject they're speaking, they're going to appear very smart as if they know everything, because that's how most of these people are. Does it appear that they need to seem really smart and right all the time? And just analyze the way they move and how they talk about things. Are they pretentious? Are they condescending? Do they need to be above other people to look down upon them? Do they need to always be right? Regardless of what the information is, just pull out of what they're saying and pick up on their overall vibe and energy. And if it seems like they're high in those traits, then it may not be the best person to take their word as gospel. And I've just noticed a trend of whether it's fitness or something else, people a lot of times who highly invest in education and being more knowledgeable than the average person are a lot of the time doing it to compensate for internal insecurities and the need to fight back from feeling lesser than from whatever happened in their life. That's just a trend I've noticed. There are lots of people who disseminate knowledge and don't act like that. And so what I'm saying is step back from, regardless of what they may still be saying some good shit, but step back from the substance of what they're saying and try to pay attention to the energy behind it, the vibe that they give off. And if it seems that they need to put other people down, that they need to act as if they're better or smarter than other people, that they know everything. It's pretty obvious when somebody's like that. Then I would at least scale back your approach to listening to them. Doesn't mean you need to ignore them. Doesn't mean they're a bad person. But that's what I do in my life. I think it's helped me a lot. Just be, okay, like this person's intent is not necessarily the truth and knowledge. Might be some of it, but a lot of it is to push themselves up so they feel better about themselves. And something that I think a lot of people aren't aware of and fall for. So keep that in mind. That's the training there. I didn't really talk about the workout. What I did, very simple, was 8 rounds, fast reps, both bis and tris, supersetting as always. Hit the tris, 15 to 30 reps, fast and explosive. Rest a minute. Biceps, 15 to 30 reps, fast and explosive. Rest a minute. Back, 8 rounds. Absurd pump. Fast, explosive reps give you the most insane pump ever. I don't know if they're better overall for muscle growth, but doing fast reps in a high rep range and then shorter rest times for pump specific, insane. If you try this, push to failure, just bang them out, go down to partials as you fatigue towards the end of the set, use some momentum. Don't swing the weight, but use a little bit of momentum. Oh my God, dude, your muscles will be erect. I've never felt a pump like this. And do a good amount of sets, at least 4 rounds of it, up to 8, maybe 10. After 10, you're probably the pump's honestly probably going to start to diminish. Try that out, man. You're going to be freaking absolutely juicified. Summertime, hit the gym, do that workout. Do that workout today, tomorrow, whenever you're watching this, one day in the future. And go to the freaking beach after, and you are going to be an absolutely bulging freaking mass of muscle, just attracting anything and everything on the beach, man. Chicks, dudes, lobsters, crabs. A freaking sea urchin might jump out of the sea and latch itself to your bulgified freaking arms. Have a great day. Thanks for watching. Go make some arm gains. Go, come on. Go train hard.